IVM.
Long ago, three young men decided to form an alliance and get into a future. The three men were Amar, Akbar, Anthony, and the film, of course, was beautiful. But we have three other men who formed a geek fruit. Not so interesting story. But their future is all about science fiction, nerd culture, and comic books. That's right. If you're too lazy to read a full book, read a comic book. If you're too lazy to read a comic book, let Geek Fruit tell you about a comic book. And comic books. New episodes out on the IVM podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from. कृपया ध्यान दीजिए, the language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen yaar, don't be so conservative. Cock and Bull is the name of the show, and we're down to just two soldiers. I'm not saying it's happened, but there's a possibility that the four guests we invited all are sick. And by sick, I mean not just mentally, not well, but more than that, perhaps, possibly, there might be the big C, as in the new big C, not the old big C. I'm saying all the wrong things. But let me get to my little bit of a rant here. Went to the studio today, and they put everything in place. They check your temperature 3 times before you actually enter the final door. And you obviously cleanse your hands twice. You have an option of twice, but once for sure. And on top of all that, which I totally accept, they've got arrows everywhere so people can sit in alternate places. The lift has only space for 4 people. It's all good in some terms of process. Here's my one problem, and this is just me being that irritating freak who has to look at these small things in life. They also make you sign your name now, which they didn't used to do before. The problem with that is, I, with my bare finger, hold the pen, and which is now being held by all the different people who have signed, going and coming. And that will continue because people who are signing with the same pen are not using gloves, even though the watchmen are superb and they are like head to toe with things on. So here's my small question. I give this to you, Amit. This is my rant, but I want to open the innings with this. When they touch that pen, that same pen has been touched by 100 people, will be touched by millions of people later. The same pen, is it possible, or are we taking it too far?
Are you looking for India's most awesome cricket podcast? Are you now tired of listening to the same old guys drone on about cricket everywhere? Edges and Sledges is a weekly cricket podcast hosted by 3 fans of the game, Varun, DJ, and myself, Ashwin. It was established in early 2018, has over 60 episodes now, and is of course now proud to be on the IVM podcast network. Each week, we get together from 3 different time zones, the USA, the UK, and Singapore, and we talk about things from the world of cricket, with a focus on Indian cricket. We often interview special guests from all around the world, including former cricketers and cricket media personalities. So check out Edges and Sledges, the cricket podcast, now on the IVM network.
It's a problem. I mean, that when you're taking so many precautions, this seems like, the easiest one in the world to make sure that you kind of figure out is not really so much of a problem, right?
So I waited and checked. Amit, I'll just quickly tell you. I waited, I walked away, and I watched the next person. There were a couple of guys after me who were coming in for work, early in the morning at 8, and it was the same pen.
Right.
I checked to see, because it'd be ridiculous. If you look at how many people work in the organization where I pretend to work in, the numbers are mind-boggling. So there's no way you can change pens. I mean, you can change a few, but you're not going to change a pen a person.
Well, it's difficult in that sense.
So what? So tell me what to do. What's the option?
I don't know.
You carry your own glove.
Well, gloves is one option, right? Carry your own pen is another option. But, surprisingly, I walked out of my house. Every time I walk out with a pen or a pencil. Because I use the pen or the pencil to push buttons and stuff.
Okay, from a personal point of view, but what happens to all those hundreds? Now let's look at it from a generic point of view. All the people who are coming at the same place, at the same time, even in a building if they're signing, for example.
It's a weakness. I think, it is a weakness in the system, right? I think the solution is once you make your signature, you got to sanitize after that.
Yeah, or maybe you do an audio signature,
Oh, that'd be good. Voice print.
Why can't you do an audio, digital signature sort of thing where you don't use your hands at all? I'm sure that people have to think this through. There must be a way to do ID processes where you basically just appear on a video and they can store it. Hi, I'm Cyrus. I'm here for such and such show. I'll be out by 1 o'clock. That's it. Boom. This is my gift. Can we sell this, Amit? Can we make some money on this?
I have this laptop called, it's a Windows, it's a Microsoft laptop, right?
Yeah.
And it has this amazing face recognition, right? And it works perfectly all the damn time. So does the iPhone, right? The iPhone has the face unlock and stuff like that. All of these, the using face recognition for entry access is something that. So I think you're going to see more and more stuff where you don't have to use your hands for access, right? Like in our building now, we put in like a sanitizer machine, which you basically put your. It's got a pedal. You hit the pedal, and then
a lot of people are using the pedal. I've seen the pedal.
Yeah.
The pedal is good. I'll come to the pedal issues a little later because at some point you'll have to enter without shoes in certain places.
But
I won't mention where.
just like you had an experience outside of the house, I had an experience outside of the house yesterday. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I used a pen which somebody gave me when I was at this place, right? And now that I'm thinking about it, that was probably a dumbass thing to do because I had a pen with myself, but they gave me the pen because they wanted me to sign something, and I just took the pen and I signed it, even though I had a pen in my pocket.
So that's going to happen. Okay, that's like an accident, literally.
Correct.
Because you weren't thinking fast enough, but you were prepared, but you screwed it up. Yeah. But I'm talking about little things like I've seen watchmen, for example, they press the thing on your head, the temperature check, and then the guy sneezed and wiped the thing with the same hand on his nose like this with the thumb, and then wiped it on his trouser, but the hand was still holding that machine with two fingers, and then he went to the next guy. So, yeah, but in the course of a boring 8-hour, 12-hour work shift, I'm sure this is going to happen from time to time where, just like you forgot the pen, he forgot, even if he had it in his mind not to.
Yeah, I know, but if
I think human, like we mentioned in the beginning, the pedal and all, you have to take the human out of it. If you take the human out of it, it becomes a lot, I think, better.
No, you definitely do, right? So yesterday, I had to leave because, I don't know if you do this, but most of these clubs offer these group insurance policies, right?
Right.
And most of them are not as, it's not as slick to renew as it would be on a general kind of this, right? If I had a regular policy from any insurance thing, I could just renew online and and that would be the end of it, right? Mm-hmm. Over here, I had to go there to do a renewal. I had to go to Garwara Club to do it. And I don't know, I mean, maybe I'm just being ageist or an ass or what, I don't know, but it seemed to me the older you were, the less likely you were to wear your mask or wear your mask properly, which seems bizarre to me because the older people are more at risk.
But I'm finding the old people are the ones who are more paranoid, actually, around me, around the area.
Huh.
Generally speaking.
By
the way, we are the old people also now. So
we are older-ish.
Yeah. You want to be in no man's land here. You want to be above the young and below the old, but I don't know.
We're older-ish. We're not.
That mask is another fiasco. Okay, most people I hate it. I can't breathe. And I've seen most people. I've seen cops. Wearing it over the lip with the nose exposed.
Pointless.
The nose exposed, and even the tightness of the mask is debatable. Because I'm sure after some time wearing it, it sort of has wear and tear, the smaller, cheaper ones.
So the tightness of is one thing, right? I mean, I think that the tightness definitely does have an impact in that sense, but it's okay if it's a loose mask as long as you're wearing it, right? I mean, because the point of the mask, again, is not to protect yourself, it's to protect other people.
There is a way to get people to really respect the mask, and that is to make them wear only the mask in public. No clothes. Then they'll really focus on every little bit to make sure, it's tight, it's covered, it's holding. We've got to figure this out, the human behavior and how to cajole them.
I gotta show you this, man. I got masks from Amazon a couple of days ago. Hold on, I forgot. We're not in the studio. I can actually walk around if I want to.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and walk towards the other part of the house.
You're doing the Australian version of the walkabout, where they just take a trip a few kilometers out of Perth and you're in the outback and you'll never be seen again, eaten by a kangaroo.
That is a marvelous coincidence because I was just watching a show yesterday which was talking about the outback.
Yeah.
About walkabout.
How far are we from the outback and freedom and miles of space and those Robert Frost poem feeling miles to go before you sleep and all we've got is
we can't travel miles right now. Miles are not in the lexicon only. But so I got these masks from Amazon.
Yeah.
So can you see?
Yes, I can. Can you wear it?
Yeah.
If you wear it for a second, we'll be Okay. So what's the advantage? Except for that beautiful design, the skull and bones making you a pirate. This was the one
that I like. This is the one I was trying to show you. Right? It's got teeth on the front.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
going to be your future. You might as well invest in it.
Yeah. So apparently there are a whole bunch of
designer masks.
Designer masks coming out, right? Apparently Adidas is making them. A whole bunch of people are making them now. It's This is what we're coming to.
So instead of just do it, Nike is going to say just cover it.
You're going to see that for sure, right? I mean, that's going to be a thing that you're going to start seeing more and more.
And also post-COVID, there'll be enough germaphobes who will take this for a longer period than, say, most people.
How long?
And the ones who are more paranoid will probably keep it on for months to come.
Yeah. But
And
how
keep
long
it
is too long?
handy for certain situations where you feel there are too many people or it's an unhygienic situation. You're going to, go to buy fish, for example. Not always the most pleasant experience. Mask. Or you're 200 people in the station. Mask. I
but
can just see that happening a lot.
I was honestly, dude, I was kind of paranoid yesterday when I went to this club. Right, there were like maybe it wasn't that crowded, but there was still probably like a good 40 people there. Right,
Where
and
were
so
you?
Garware Club when I went to do the insurance thing.
But you went inside the club.
I took that's where the counter was to pay the insurance premium.
So they allowed you in. I thought they do everything online.
No, no, no. That's the thing. I couldn't do it online. Any other insurance policy I had to renew, I could do it straight from the website online.
What,
Over
they
here,
had to see you.
I had to go.
But what is the point of that? To examine your body? Or what?
No, no, no. It's just basically they are not set up for online this because so what it is
Oh,
it's
come
not.
on. I can't
So
believe that.
the way this is that this is basically when you go to a club, these clubs give you group policies,
Right.
right? So you get a policy which becomes a lot cheaper than what it would be if you go individually.
Right.
Now, because of that, you have to make a payment to the club. You don't make a payment to the insurance company directly.
He plays the middleman, basically. The
Correct,
club.
right. And now what happens is that you need to both get the amount of the premium, which they don't send you in advance.
Right.
You have to figure out you'll know that it'll be about this much, but you don't get the amount of the premium. You have to get so you have to go to one counter to get the amount of the premium, and the second counter to pay the premium. Right?
Bloody hell, I say.
It was
This is
ridiculous.
back to Babudam.
Dude, I don't
In the
pay
middle of COVID, when you're not supposed to be meeting people and not supposed to be bunching around.
I don't do anything. I don't do anything that has to be paid. Like honestly,
But I mean,
Cyrus-
these stories are beautiful. They make me feel happy.
Yeah.
I feel I'm back in India when things are like this. Because the system is such and it's not happening.
I
And you
pay
tell me
for
that
nothing.
this is how it should be, and then instead this is how it is, and then I feel I'm back in the 80s and 90s in India and everything's good because we just do our own thing.
Dude, I pay for nothing offline, right? I mean, like literally
Yeah.
since lockdown has happened, I might
Yeah.
have spent like maybe 20,000 rupees in
Even
cash.
pre-lockdown, you're one of the onliners of
I
all
was
time.
always online, but like for running the house right now, right? I mean, like running this house, 20,000 rupees in cash maybe in the last 3 months we spent, right? Which is not that much, right? Because I pay for everything online, whether
Yeah.
it is groceries, whether it, like even my sabzi wala, I got him on Google Pay. He's getting paid on Google Pay,
Yeah.
right? If like somebody sends you something small, like like a snack or something like that, I'm going to the snack guy. I'm getting snacks. I'll
Sounds
pay them.
disgusting, but yes.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, you pay all this stuff online. I pay for nothing anymore using cash, right? I mean, like, I have the same cash lying in my wallet for like months at an end, and I cannot understand how this couldn't happen online. Right? They had a way to do it, but it was such a convoluted way. It's like I have to create like some sort of virtual bank account for myself using their system, and
You're talking about the real world. I don't even live in the real world. I picked up a Monopoly to play, and my daughter told me there's no cash. And I was like, that's the whole concept of Monopoly is teach you how to handle money. That's what I thought growing up. She said, look, you're an idiot. They've stopped using cash since 2005.
They use
it's
the
now
cash.
credit card payment. And she gave me a card. And I haven't played the damn game since Mikhail, my elder son, was around. And I was like, what the hell? They just changed everything. Where's the feeling of the cash in my hands all gone? I can't count. I like counting and looking at money. And now it's all just inside a little thing and you press buttons just
also
like,
you can't see what other people have, right?
You can't, and you have to trust the banker much more than before. Because the bankers just say, give me your card, give me your card, give me your card. But what the hell?
No,
Can't verify.
that visual indication of money was a big deal, right? I mean, like
I miss
would
it.
yeah, no. I mean, like, so, dude, I played Monopoly pretty seriously when I was like younger. Like,
So did I. But wasn't that
and-
half the fun? Holding the 500 rupee note, the whatever, pounds or whatever it was then. Those notes, putting them together, bunching up, always checking like a banya, checking your money all the time, trying to spy on the other guy.
No,
That was the fun
also-
of Monopoly.
Also, I mean, like whether or not to bid on Park Place or Boardwalk or try and acquire them from somebody else depended on how much money other people had and how much money you had. And if you don't know that, you can't strategize appropriately. It's absolutely the worst thing in the world, right? In the course of the pandemic, the worst news is Monopoly does not have cash money anymore.
Can you believe it? Yeah, I thought you'd accept this as one of the bitter problems that we're facing in our little world, but it was a bit of a culture shock to me that you take out cash from Monopoly. It's like taking out the swimsuit from Baywatch. Okay, so they're now wearing full sleeves and walking around the beach. Okay, they just have to actually look at the plot. I mean, imagine going back and now actually understanding there's a story. Kid got lost in a cove, and now this guy is going to go. I mean, nobody knew or cared. 7, 8 seasons of glorious Baywatch just running like an idiot.
Could you tell me the plot of a single episode of Baywatch?
I can't. I have a vague memory of a cove or a cave.
You just
and a
said
kid
cave.
hiding.
Even I'm actually, now that you're saying that, I remember that the kid, his son was inside the cave and his mother was freaking out.
Yeah. I think it was a continuing point. That's why it was one of those stories in the story. So it's the larger story. The guy is taken off or kidnapped or whatever, so the episode has another story. This is the deeper story which goes on for 10. The track goes on for 10 episodes. Hence we remember. Well, what else do we remember? I can't remember the names of the girls beyond Pamela Anderson.
Carmen Electra.
Okay, Carmen Electra. So that's because you said it.
Erika Eleniak.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Just stop showing off. Okay, fair enough. You did your thesis in Baywatch. You know your Baywatch.
These were the 3 Playboy models.
Yeah. Listen, there was no non-Playboy model in terms of quality. They were all hot girls.
They were, but I mean, like these were like actual Playboy playmates of the month types, right? Yeah. All 3 of these. So, which is why I have.
So they deserved it. They worked hard all their lives. And walked wherever they had to in a swimsuit to get where they got.
Did you
and then ran in the swimsuit.
Did you see Carmen Electra on the Last Dance documentary? Did you watch the Last Dance documentary?
No, I haven't got down to it. I'm still watching Office.
Oh, okay, all right. So then
I will. Don't worry, I will.
So 100%. She dated Dennis Rodman during that time, right? So then she was
right. I remember.
Yeah, so she was in the documentary. It was kind of interesting to see her. Because I haven't seen, I haven't thought of her in 20 years.
Now that you bring up Dennis Rodman, what an enigma. Quickly, can we talk about him for 2 minutes?
Sure.
Since you're the NBA expert. So, as a basketballer, how do you rate him? Pretty.
So he was one of those guys. So, he turned what was a strength into a fetish. In the sense that he was not a big scorer. Yeah. When he was with the Pistons, he scored a little bit, but not a big scorer. He was always a defensive rebounding guy. He was always that was his thing.
Was he a quality basketball player or not?
He was a quality basketball player, but the thing is that what he did towards the end of his career was he would concentrate on rebounds to the exception of everything else, which was ultimately detrimental to what he was doing and what his team was doing. But he would get personal accolades because he would have these 20, 25 rebounds a game kind of numbers.
And he became one-dimensional is what
he became one-dimensional, and he basically turned himself into a parody of himself, right? He would be this guy who would get like 8 points, 10 points, and would have like 15 rebounds. Instead of that, he became like 0 points, 25 rebounds, 0 points, 20 rebounds, 0 points, 18 rebounds, which was kind of like, it was like even if he had the opportunity to score, he would not score.
Oh boy, isn't like in cricket the guys who are bowlers primarily and then start turning themselves into batsmen and lose the bowling ability.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, so then he goes, obviously he had all kinds of issues because, and I have no problem with the exhibitionism and all. I don't think that's a major problem, or the colored hair or the woman's clothing and all, because those are small things actually.
Right.
But the going to North Korea, the pow padoing with that Kim Jong-un, all kinds of strange statements that he would make. After some time, he was like the poor man's Donald Trump.
So, honestly, any NBA podcast you listen to or anything you watch, which is looking back at that time, Dennis Rodman is like, a kind of common figure that keeps coming up, right? Because nobody understands him. It's amazing. This guy is friends with Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un. He's really, really good friends with Eddie Vedder and Billy Corrigan. Eddie Vedder of the Pearl Jam and Billy Corrigan of the Smashing Pumpkins. And I'm just like, how does that happen?
But that's more the celebrity thing, now, because the famous people travel in famous circles. He was on Apprentice, I remember. So Donald Trump obviously bonded there. So finally somebody who got Donald, Donald.
He's considered by everybody to be like this big-hearted dumb guy, right? This guy who has this heart of gold, but just does not have the sense of how to kind of deal with things, which I guess is maybe true, but also feels a little kind of like making excuses.
So here's the question: is it a setup where he's created an avatar because he's a really highly smart man and decided to go this way because he's always in the news? Then he's always relevant. He's outlived his time as a sportsman, and he has. So is that the reason, or is it just that he's an immature man who
I think it's the latter. Everything I've heard about him makes me believe that it's the latter. He just has no filter. He has no sense of appropriate versus inappropriate.
And his childlike attitude endears him to certain people.
To most people who meet him. There are very few people who have negative things to say about Dennis Rodman. Again, when you watch this documentary, you'll see one of the ways that the Bulls got so far ahead was by beating Dennis Rodman with the Detroit Pistons. He used to play for the Pistons, right? Yeah. So before the Bulls were champions for 3 years, the Pistons were champions for 2 years. So they had to get past the Pistons. Dennis Rodman wailed on Scottie Pippen. Beat him the fuck up. Would throw him down and stuff like that. Scottie Pippen doesn't have a bad thing to say about him.
But that's on the field, on court.
Dude, even
I'm saying on court is one thing. You can be a vicious brute on court. So many sportsmen just leave it there.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah, that might be true.
Yeah, because off court, maybe he's a different guy altogether. Probably shares his shampoo. definitely his hair color, which
But
keeps changing.
so more and more sports are coming back, from what I understand. More
Yeah.
football is starting.
EPL has started, which is huge. La Liga,
Yeah.
Bundesliga was the first to go. Germany, my favorite country. For these are our sports, Amit, not your North American sports, are happening at the same time. NBA,
NBA is figuring it out. It looks likely to start July 1st.
baseball.
Baseball just announced that they are going to, or at least I saw somebody send a meme that, hey, we're starting. So I'm
Okay.
assuming that that's starting.
Okay.
NFL, I don't think stops no matter what.
Yeah.
Because,
Except when you have to take a knee.
well, yeah,
Another story for another day.
Depends
By
on
the way,
when
the
you
whole
take a
knee
knee.
thing has caught on in a big way, right? So it's gone far beyond the North American continent.
Oh.
Once the George Floyd incident happened,
Right.
People are taking knees in football in South America, in Europe,
Yeah.
and now it might even spread to cricket. Who knows? At some
Well,
point.
I mean,
Yeah.
it would be interesting to see how that would happen, right?
Yeah.
Difference between, I think, cricket and a lot of these other sports is cricket is primarily played by nation against nation, right? I mean, like,
Right.
there is IPL, there is, like, some other
But
stuff.
the
But-
T20 culture is growing the fastest.
It is growing the fastest, but
We are
even
watching
there,
clubs replace countries slowly. It's going to happen. There's no way out. I tried to stop it, but I'm one man against so many. It's very
yeah,
difficult.
I think it's actually a good thing if it's clubs replace countries, right? I think that too much country
You're
versus
just
country.
anti-nationalism. Be very
Well,
careful.
Yeah, it leads to
Very
this
careful, were you?
Yeah, no. I mean, like, I think it leads to an excess amount of nationalism, right? I mean, like, when countries are constantly playing countries, it can get into that, like, that negative sense of nationalism.
Ironically, it's like the lines you have in cricket when you bowl, the crease. You've got to stay in that crease where you enjoy nationalism like a sport. So you enjoy it, and that's
Yeah.
it. You don't take it so seriously that you start hating. Oh, I hate these guys. I hate that guy. I hate that country, that culture, that race. I mean, I think, talk about immature. I think that's a real sign of immaturity. And unfortunately, jingoism is amongst the simplest, and xenophobia, which is linked together, are the simplest things to import or export, I
They
think,
are,
personally.
and I think that
I'm
they're
going to do it
also
in 5 minutes.
they're also the easiest philosophies to kind of wed yourself to, right? Because there's a sense of virtue to it, no?
Blame the foreigner, blame the different guy. It's so easy to do that. There are 10 people of one color or one community, and you just point to the 11th guy and he's not, and then you just blame him. The rain
Blame
has
him.
come because of him.
No,
There's
not
a
just
channel
blame
that does that on television.
Which
I
one?
can't mention.
Okay.
In
Is
India,
this the
there's a-
one
there's a
which
channel.
shows 66% as like the small little wedge as like like a quarter wedge? Is it that channel?
I refuse. I would like to plead the fourth, even though I'm in the wrong country. Is it the fourth or the fifth? I plead the
think
fifth.
it's the fifth. Yes,
It's the fifth. I think the fourth is right to bear arms, maybe. Better be careful.
So,
yeah.
you know what? Actually, speaking of that channel, the channel which shall not be named,
Yeah.
was it not? What did you think of Coronel? And I think I kind of gave away my angle on it when I told you speaking of the channel. But what do you think of this?
It's a difficult one to answer.
Is it really?
You know,
Is it one you don't want to answer, or is it a difficult one?
no. I'll let you handle this one. I'll stay out of the ring. I'll stay out of the fire.
Nah, it's
Yeah.
nonsense, dude. I mean, like, it's absolutely nonsense. Even the government, even the Ayush ministry, which is essentially nonsense,
No.
is holding their feet to the fire.
Which is amazing because they're basically part of the same factory. So that's a little difficult to understand.
Uh-huh.
But I guess the world is watching. So you have to be very careful about what you talk about, what you import, export, what you predict, what you say can be a cure, what you
Yeah.
say can, I mean, there's no, look, I think it's like the ultimate bakra. If you think of doing a gag, the ultimate bakra is that I give you a medicine or I give you a formula or I give you a theory which I promise you will save your life, and it
Right.
doesn't. I mean, isn't that like the ultimate gag?
It is. It absolutely is.
If you could just take away emotion as a prankster, as a jokester, if you just take away emotion, sensibilities, ethics, morality, just put it aside if it's possible. Think only in a clinical, linear way about how to make something really funny and what is the cost of that humor. Then death would be the ultimate gag.
Yes.
Right? So I'll be like, hey, I've got this, you take this, yo, home and dry. Hey, don't worry, किससे भागे, शादी कर लो, संगीत कर लो, 500 लोगों को बुला दो, कोई टेंशन नहीं, सबको खिला दो, सबको पिला दो, don't worry, dance, Falguni Patak, what this, that, whatever you want, and then take this and boom, and then they all go. I think it's a great gag. I mean,
It is,
again,
I guess,
I'm
if you
saying
look
this
at
in
it
a
like
very.
that.
Please don't send letters. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's amazing, right? I mean, like, it was, you should take this for 15 days if you feel like you have corona.
Yeah.
It is 97% successful, which means it's 3% unsuccessful, which means that's basically death rate, isn't it?
But all companies, nobody writes 100% anymore.
Yeah,
Because, every body reacts differently to any medication. Even those which are like a fever, like a simple paracetamol will be like 99%. They'll always keep themselves a little. We should do that. This is 99% true. This entire show that we do is based on 99% fact.
We are always in the
97 a better number for you?
97 is a
Amit?
good number. 97 gives us some flexibility.
Yeah.
Now we do 15-minute ka show.
Yeah.
97 minutes means that we have 1.5 minutes of nonsense that comes in there.
The only truth is about Dennis Rodman, so far that we've done on this particular.
But actually, my question was not so much about just coronal, right? Because like it is what it is, and we all know what nonsense it is, right? Mm-hmm. But my question was,
no, I don't know. I'm saying it may work. You never know.
Oh no, come on, dude.
No, Amit, listen. People, it's more like a custom-made medication. Is more custom-made now. It works. Some work on some people. Everybody's constitution is different, and there are certain factors in your body which are going in certain direction, and certain medicines for you sort of move in the right direction with that, and certain medicines for me may not.
Point, but I disagree heartily, right? In the sense that
what it is not is 100% cure. That's for sure.
No, and the thing is that there is a method to how medicine comes out, right? How you kind of decide that this medicine is working, this medicine is having some effectiveness, all that. None of that is done over here. Right? They've done none of that, right? They're just basically...
No, but just because you don't follow procedure... Now, again, I'm playing devil's advocate just to irritate you. Oh. But just because you don't follow procedure doesn't mean that the result is not correct. 100%. Okay, for example, in science also, there are breakthroughs. Everything doesn't follow the process of data, followed by analysis, followed by a projection, followed by a conclusion. It doesn't all have this empirical sort of style. There's also the odd thing which has just come out. Viagra was discovered by accident. They were trying to get a heart drug, and next thing the drug, although it's still a heart drug in essence, but we all know it works a little about 3 feet lower, or 2 feet lower.
It does multiple things.
Yeah. It does multiple things, but that's where it got successful, and that was not the design. So that was a pure accident. So similarly, it's not impossible without following due process sometimes to stumble on something.
No, you stumble on something.
How do you think I got married? You think my wife was in her senses?
No, you can absolutely stumble on something, right? It is something where, finding secondary uses for drugs which are already in the market is something that happens, right? We've had 3 that we've spoken about seriously around Corona, right? There is the remdesivir, there is the
hydroxychloroquine right in the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's one other which just came out a couple of weeks ago, right? So there are 3 specific drugs which are saying that can help with corona treatments.
Bangladesh had a variant which the Mumbai police have used. Forgot the name.
I cannot remember, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the doctor over there had figured out a treatment protocol which was having great success. Correct. Right? So, I'm not saying that it must come from a drug company or it must come from like a pharmaceutical. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I do believe is that there's definitely something there, right? In terms of how do you find the right way to kind of say that, okay, this is working, this is meant for this, and now it's doing this. And that's through trials.
I hear your point. You can't defeat science, just turn up and bat for the country. It doesn't work like that. I hear your point. But there's a romantic side to everything. And it's not impossible. It's against the grain. It's against the run of play. It's from left field. It's rare. It's unlikely, improbably. But it's not completely out of the ordinary and impossible for us to stumble on something sort of without following due process and sort of not following clinical, empirical sort of analysis and style that the Western world has taught us, really, more than anybody else. Because Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, so in some cases, like I'm a big fan of Ayurveda, okay? I got to say. I try lots of different things from blood pressure to whatever, and all of them work. Now, I'm not saying it'll work for everyone. I have no idea, but it just seems to work with me. My mother's a big fan of homeopathy. I can't stand homeopathy. I laugh.
I cannot, so I can't abide homeopathy either, right?
But it works. She seems to say it works. I can't argue with that.
Well, my mom does it too. I can't argue with it beyond a point, right?
Yeah. Is homeopathy a mom thing? Have you stumbled on something else by accident? Is it linking moms of the country together? White pills, little white pills? Oh,
I don't get it, right? Because so homeopathy in particular drives me insane, right? Because at least Ayurveda, there is some sort of active ingredients involved in it, right? But the thought behind homeopathy, the way homeopathy is supposed to work, it is such ridiculously
and keep in mind, it's a preventive medicine. And I keep telling my mom, but now if I have COVID, what's the point of taking this arsenic out? Because it's preventive. So I don't have it. If I've already got it, it's not supposed to be of any use. The concept is all preventive. It's like to stop your body getting this, stop your body getting into that situation. Homosexuality has been allowed, but homeopathy may still, be challenged all over the place.
Yeah.
All right, break time.
I want to thank Intel for supporting our show. We're all loving working from home, but let's be honest, there are complications to this. For example, getting help from IT folks if your PC is down can be a challenge because you can't just walk up to the IT support desk anymore to get your issue sorted out. Well, you'll be happy to hear that I have a solution for all your work from home pains. The Intel Vpro platform. The platform comes packed with Intel Active Management technology that lets your IT teams remotely manage your system, fix the problems even when the PCs aren't near them or are unresponsive, especially with the reduced desk site visits. So it means more time getting your work done and less time spent on getting support. What's more, the Vpro platform also maximizes all your PC security, stability, and performance needs. Visit intel.in/morewithvpro, that's VPRO, to discover how you can do more of what you want and less of what you don't. If you're listening on the IVM Podcast Android app, you will be able to click the link that's visible to you now.
Okay, we're back. We were discussing homeopathy. Our mothers, or maybe mothers of the world, or at least of India, South Mumbai for sure, all have the same issue, which is love for homeopathy. Not dismiss it completely. I know the UK have dismissed it. It's not allowed in Britain. They said no.
It's Germany also is outlawed. Your favorite country.
Germany is the country which brought it.
No, it's outlawed now. It's considered
in the home country.
The whole country is considered quackery.
Wow.
Because dude, homeopathy. I mean, like the way homeopathy is designed by design is so nonsensical that the only way homeopathic medicine can have any sort of effect is one of two things. One is your disease or your illness has run its natural course, and so you're fine. And the second is that what you're getting is not what the homeopath says you're getting. Okay, there has been a problem over the years where a lot of homeopaths are mixing in steroids in what they're doing. Steroids make you feel good without necessarily treating underlying conditions. So, I mean, like, this is my problem with homeopathy.
So I can save a lot of supplement money by just buying cheap homeopathic medicine for bodybuilding.
Work. It could work. There are different kinds of steroids, but it could work.
Superb. So I go in there with a pregnancy issue or lactating issue. I take the steroids. Now I have an extra testicle and lots of muscle. Superb. God, that sounds great.
It's insane stuff. All right.
But last word on this subject.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? What do we know in the end? As Socrates says, all we know is we know nothing. But I just get this feeling that everything is custom made. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of everyone, dealing with coronavirus in the same way. Because everybody's got to figure out for themselves in a certain way how their body is dealing with things and how the situation. What I mean is, if your immunity is a little better, if you're feeling, everybody's going to deal with it. If you look around, corona is not attacking people in the same way. While it attacks everyone, it doesn't attack everyone in the same dimension or the same penetrative ability. It's either got 3 or 4 strains to it, or we just react differently. And I'm not talking about the unsymptomatic sort of condition and all that, asymptomatic. I'm talking about the fact that you can get it, and in 2 days you're okay. Your cousin can get it, and he's fighting for his life. A third guy can get it, and in 5 days he's okay. That's a little bit odd, against, say, dengue or something, where basically they have 2-3 strains, and it's very clear, and you either have a 5-day thing, or a 10-day thing, or a 3-week thing.
Right. No, I agree with you. I would say that you're right in that sense, right? What I would say, though, is that the differences come in treatment regimens, right? Not in the effectiveness of certain drugs, right? So you might require higher dosage of treatment. You might require more hydration than somebody else might. You might require that, certain types of vitamins will do better for you than other things. But the base...
So why do you get a light fever and the next guy get a high fever?
Well,
why do you get a 99, which allows you to stay at home and not take it too seriously, and the other one gets 103, 104?
So, from what I understand, that has to do with the viral load, mostly. There are multiple factors, but the main factor is the viral load.
What the hell is a viral load?
The viral load is the amount of virus that's existing inside your system.
So then what you're saying is it's like a lottery. How much got into your body?
So from what I've been... so how much
Dr. Doshi. And I had a vet called Dr. Doshi.
Oh.
This is a very important point you're making here.
It is. So I was reading a paper that came out recently, right? And what they were talking about is what are the dangerous activities? What are the safe activities, right? So the most dangerous activities are indoor activities with lots of people. Okay, so if you're in an indoor space with like say 20, 50, 100 people, that is the single most dangerous thing. You want to make it even more dangerous, turn it into like a singing practice or like a place where people are talking loudly. Right?
Spitting.
This is the most dangerous because what happens in a scenario like this is virus could be shed by somebody who's infected and it stays inside the atmosphere. If you are outdoors and you shed virus, even after you shed virus, the virus will lose its potency fairly quickly.
So Indian Idol should be cancelled immediately. We can't have any singing contest. India's got talent. All that has to go for now.
All that has to go.
unless it's a medical show.
Yeah, I think it's important that it goes just for other reasons as well. But yes, all that has to go.
I didn't want to get into that.
Yes,
I know it's hurt you. Between Baywatch and Indian Idol, it's just caged you in television. Couldn't take it after some time.
It is, it's insane, man. I like singing shows sometimes, but I mean, like, dude, every time you turn on television, it's just some singer or the other, man.
But now that you segued into the quality of the show, let me also put my 2 bits in.
Okay.
And let me just frankly tell you that I really enjoy the bad singing. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't want to hear anyone sing well anymore.
Okay.
The moment I get someone who's really, like, they preen themselves and they come with, peacock feathers and, they've really, what you're getting you think is something spectacular, a real piece of theatre, because they've got the eyeshadow and the look and everything in place. And then and then they've got a lovely, backing track, so it's probably 4 bars of good instrumental music plays with guitars banging and everything. And then the horrible quack happens, and the horrific look on the judges, and they expose their personalities in that first look, the one who's just straight up like, I'm going to be rude, I hate you, and one who's trying not to break, but you can see them breaking because they can't take it. Oh, it's lovely. For me, it's all about that, the bad singing. If they can give me the bad singing, I'm in.
I've always enjoyed singing show audition processes more than I've enjoyed shows themselves. I hate the actual singing show parts of it, right? The competition parts I hate.
Yeah.
But whether it is American Idol or Indian Idol or whether it's The Voice, I like that, somebody trying to make it aspect to it. And some of them are great and some of them suck.
I've always thought, what would it be like if the anchor was really rude and obnoxious and mean, like Simon, the man who created most of these things, Simon Cowell, but as an anchor. So that when they're telling their life story, and it's always a sad one, my mother had only one leg, my father died when I was 4 months old, and I used to dance outside in the pouring rain, and this one Mexican gentleman would give me a pizza or something, and if the anchor could just be obnoxious and say, like, who cares? Suppose I don't care. I would see how that would change the whole dynamic of this. Otherwise, even India's doing the same thing. They milk these sad stories, which are nice the first or second time, but by the 748th episode, my God.
Well, so these are the problems with reality shows, at least for me, right? I mean, I've always really enjoyed the voice auditions. Right? I mean, I've always enjoyed watching them, right? Because it's like, how many of these guys are going to turn? How good are they going to be? And also,
they don't have too many bad singers in the voice.
They don't.
So that kills my whole story.
Yeah, it's not the American Idol.
So actually you feel bad because those who don't get selected, they're missing it by a whisker, and you're thinking, why did he not or she not? Yeah. It's a more sincere production.
It is.
Everybody seems to be more sincere, and they're only artists and musicians and that kind of, you don't have that extra joker and all who's in the wrong place. I love that guy.
So that's exactly why they started The Voice, right? Because they felt like this was getting too dramatic.
Theatrical.
But American
Idol.
There was another one as well at the same time. I can't
American Idol, America's Got Talent. We flicked all the shows. Same production house.
Well, because again, if you're creating a reality program, you want it to go everywhere in the world, right? I mean, why would you not take it? Why would you not take it?
It's a winning formula. Everybody wants to be a star. Yeah. Give me a way to be a star, and you have millions of people signing up.
It definitely.
We should do this on the podcast.
Getting people
become a podcast star. Of course, at the moment it's false advertising, but still, it'd be great. Huh?
Hey, we call people stars. So we can.
India's got podcasts. No, that sounds terrible. Huh?
India does not have podcasts. I wish India had podcasts. That's one of the problems we're facing.
The talking voice. The talk.
The talk.
Instead of the voice.
That's it. The voice, the talk.
The talk.
I'm sure there's a show called The Talk already, but we can figure something out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do something like that. That would be fun. I mean, we do have a thing, right? I mean, we get a lot of people who want to create shows who reach out to us. Unfortunately, we don't respond to as many of them as I'd like to. Yeah. But we do get a lot of inquiries about people who want to kind of create stuff. Mm-hmm. But it is, I mean, the thing is that it's hard, man. I mean, I get 6 emails a day, 5 emails a day from people saying, I want to make a podcast. And you want to kind of try and do as much as you can in that. But the thing is that
there's going to come a day when the whole world is just going to be so custom made. I'm using this word all day today for some reason, that every single person is going to go into a library. I mean, we almost do that now on YouTube also. We all go to our genres. Let's not lie anymore. You like midget sex, for example, Amit, so that's what you go and, I know you do that. That's fine. That's your thing.
You want to know what I really watch? I mean, it's going to be embarrassing, but I'll tell you what I really watch.
Penguins mating, zebras running in the wild, hibiscus, the making of the hibiscus.
I would feel better about watching that than what I actually watch.
What is it?
What I actually watch is I watch people playing real-time video games, like strategy games. Like, city building games, like city skylines.
Now,
Or
horizontally challenged pornography is not that bad at all comparatively.
I told you it's embarrassing as hell what I watch on YouTube, man.
But you never say that. Never. Everybody's got these skeletons in the cupboard we don't want to expose.
Yeah.
But so I'm saying that there should be it should be like a bibliography. It should be almost like a glossary in the books or whatever, where you can just zoom in on whatever you want. So your podcast factory should be 1 million subjects.
Yeah.
Literally.
No,
so
but
that you reach out to everybody, with those 1 million subjects. So even in cars, it's only the guy who's talking about the car production. Mm-hmm. It's his show's only on production of cars. It's not about marketing or selling or history or anything, just production. So it's very hardcore car parts kind of thing.
No, and I think that's exactly what you're going to see, right? You're going to see more and more specific podcasts to more and more narrow kind of. Podcasts are considered narrowcast, right, compared to broadcast, which go everywhere. Podcasts are pulled in, and so they're narrowcast in the sense that you create lots of content in smaller verticals.
Yeah.
You have something weird to say.
I'm just thinking. So at last we are aligned to something slim, because we're in the narrowcast world. So you finally got something to be proud to say. Yeah. Narrowcast and me. Come on, perfect fit.
So there's one thing I did want to talk about a little bit, right, before we kind of we're getting into AMA time now. Our old friend who has been on our show, Sanjay Jha, and his recent commentary. I agree with him like 100%.
But he attacked the rulers.
Well, so his point was that if we want to beat the BJP, we have to take the BJP seriously and can't depend on anti-incumbency. Let's talk to him again. When I was listening to what he was saying, right? I mean, I was
also, that seems to. Yeah, but Amit, we discussed this again for the last 4 years. That seems to be part of the problem with the opposition, is that no one wants to rock the boat. And if you don't rock that boat, or poke the bear, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
If you don't do that, when things aren't working, you need change. Any kid will tell you that, right? Something's not working, you have to fix it. How do you fix it? You have to change something. Right. So if they're not going to do that and they have to start from the top,
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, right? And then of course Amit Shah jumped in on that and doubled down, right? Saying that only one dynasty, and even when they have people telling them stuff, they don't listen, and
trying to create more internal rifts and all.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
I enjoy all this. This is politics. This is the way it should be. You take your chances. When the animal is hurt, the other predators attack. It's that kind of thing. You go for it. Have you seen crows destroy another bird who's injured? I mean, there's no mercy.
This
phase of politics I actually enjoy. I'm not kidding. I really enjoy. Yeah. The problem is when they use the political power that they have to cause some sort of mayhem with idiots out there.
Yeah.
That's just when mobs go on a rampage and do stupid things and people actually believe. Yeah, but amongst themselves, they want to take shots and call each other's names and all. I think it's fun.
Let's do that, though. I think I have Sanjay's number. I'll message him and see if we can get him on sometime next week.
What I gather, Sanjay, if he's watching the podcast, you just have to say Sanjay, Mike, and he's there. You have to say anything else. So Sanjay, television camera. Oh, he's reached. It's like that. It's beautiful.
Let me reach out to him.
He's also a poet. And
he's very articulate. He's very well spoken, and he's, listen. He is a Congress spokesperson, so he has to play the part of the Congress spokesperson. But there is a degree of articulation and sense behind what he talks.
What do you say to drug addicts? The famous cliche, of course, and this is coming from you and me who don't do drugs, is that unless you admit that you were a problem, you can't deal with the drug issue. Right? The same thing with alcoholics. The person has to admit, listen, bro, I can't do this anymore. I'm a sick guy.
Yeah.
So literally the party has to, I think, and I've spoken to people, I have friends in that party, a couple of at least, and they all off the record will tell you they know they have to restructure. In the words of the great Mikhail Gorbachev, I named my son after him without saying Mikhail Gorbachev's wife, because that should have been an important point.
What was restructure? Was that perestroika or
Perestroika is restructure and glasnost is openness.
Okay,
we leave the glasnost. Transparency in Indians, never going to happen. Accountability, tough one. But perestroika, restructuring, which is just, how does the world... You have to keep re-evolving. It literally means that, right? It's not just restructuring from a communist empire into the global world and all that. That was the first layer of what he meant. But it also meant that Russia has to keep re-evolving.
Right.
They can't be stuck with one system and hold missiles and just go to war.
So what do you think? How do you think this plays in terms of the whole nepotism thing, right? When we're talking about this stuff...
You can't completely cure nepotism. Okay, it's going to be there in some way or the other.
So I agree with that. I don't think that. I think that when people talk about nepotism in the film space particularly, right? I think that talking about nepotism is just the wrong argument. The argument is
it's a family business. If your dad was a successful businessman, you'll follow in his footsteps. Who am I to point fingers at you and say what a stupid thing? What?
Yeah.
Your dad made the money for you. He's providing for his family. It just makes absolute sense. I don't have the. That's just dumb. That's a
No,
stupid argument.
but even even more so than that, right? I mean, like from a structural perspective, even if you were to take, the problem is not that that people are giving advantages to people who are already who are known in the business. Because to Cyrus, I mean, like think about this, right? How many you have something, you want Mikhail to do something, you're gonna come and ask me, okay, hey, can we get Mikhail to talk about this kind of thing? Can you talk to Mikhail about something like this, right? You know me, you're talking to me. I'll say you'll ask me to do something, right? That's just how this works. That's not nepotism. That's the fact that you know somebody who can help with something. I can.
This nepotism argument only works if the everybody. You look at entire society. You can't tell me nepotism is only for the film production group and the political production group. That
But
just
see, the thing is that it's exaggerated in film production and political production, or in politics
it's
generally.
enjoyed in the film world.
No,
It's
but I
actually
think
enjoyed by the public.
it is enjoyed. But
It's
I
almost
think
like you're
it's,
looking forward to Vinod Khanna ka beta hai picture mein. Everybody's like, well, it's the way it is.
no, you're right about that. But I think it is exaggerated because of the fact that in both of these cases you have two things that are there, right? One is it's a zero-sum game. For every movie that Amir Khan gets, somebody is not getting a movie. For every movie that Varun Dhawan gets, somebody is not getting a movie. So it's a zero-sum game in that sense. Same in politics, right? For every seat that somebody connected with the family
She
gets,
knocked out
somebody
somebody
is
else.
not getting it,
Yeah.
right? So politics is by definition a zero-sum game. There is no getting around that, right? Because there are only so many Lok Sabha seats, only so many Rajya Sabha seats, only so many Vidhan Sabha seats. It's a zero-sum game. Films does not need to be a zero-sum game, right? Which is why when the Inox people and stuff like that sent that huffy letter saying that you can't release your movies like this directly, it's
killing
like,
our business, yeah.
killing our business. I was like, you know what? It's not like if I make a movie, Inox is going to release that for sure. They're not guaranteed to do that.
They won't even bother with you if you're a small time
Exactly.
player.
So I mean, like the problem is distribution is constrained. We have too tight a stranglehold on distribution. Because of that, people are talking to people who they know. And
You're taking now this argument into a more technical space. My point is on the face of it. Nepotism is difficult to, because it is nepotism when in the family business you inherit. When it's a big company, if Mukesh Bhai's son Akash is the next, I mean, how can you tell me it's not nepotism, right? It is.
It is.
But why should he not? Why should he not?
It is.
So,
Because again, I mean, like are we saying that inheritances are invalid?
Exactly. It's the same. The basis of the whole thing is inheritance.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So stop kidding ourselves about it. Now, I have in cricket at least two examples. I know Mickey Stewart, Alex Stewart, ex-cricketers, both of England. So Mickey Stewart was the chairman of selectors. He walked out of the room when his son's name came out of selection. Okay. But it's a boys' club. And I'm sure he's well liked. And so even though he walked out of the room, it'll be like everybody, support their pals. It's an unwritten sort of code. Roger Binny did the same thing for India. When Stuart Binny was selected, he was selected finally. Roger Binny walked out of the room. I will not cast my vote because he's my son. I've got
which is fine. But I mean, like it's also much ado about nothing in some ways.
Much ado about nothing. Yeah. I mean, it's a classy thing to do, no doubt. But again, I still think I would never lie. I would say that I want to promote my son. I would never lie. If I was, a film family, one of the Yash Chopra, or one of these big guys, and my son was whatever, I would be like, I want to promote him. Yeah. He's my son. This is my business.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that your dad would do as a businessman. It's exactly what he does.
It's the same thing in all other kinds of circles. Yeah. How many doctors' kids are doctors?
So then why do we hold it against the politicians? You can talk now about the second part, which is there are only so many seats, and hence the match doesn't work out because you're killing the match by having these people. It's dynastic politics all over, actually. Because whether it's south, north, east, or west, it's the next layer and the next generation are coming to bat. Always. And they're getting the prime tickets. They're getting the prime backing, support, the love. And they're getting the votes because of their father and their grandfather and his father before him. So how do we...
So I think in politics it's a little more insidious for a couple of reasons, right? So first is, as we're saying, it's a zero-sum game. So there are only X number of seats available. Whether it's MLA, whether it's MP, whether it's corporate, or whatever it is, there are only X number of seats available. The other problem becomes is that it's a little more cultural rather than just like purely theoretical in that sense, right? We are a country that has had kings ruling us pretty much our entire history, except for the last 70 years. Right. And so that my bap culture, right? That idea that, there is somebody who's going to take care of us. And this is the family that's going to take care of us. And I mean, like, this comes down to micro levels as well, right? Like, you are assumed to be responsible for the people who work for you. I am assumed to be responsible for the people who work for me. And I am, and you are. But at the same time, one of the things I've always found very aggravating, right, is in my family, sometimes they will say that we treat our help like family. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't treat them like family. You treat them like help. You treat them well, but you treat them like
you
hell.
encourage the help beta to be the next help.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's
like,
not
you
the
don't treat
Indian
them
thing.
like family, right? So I mean, like,
Yeah.
don't say stuff like that, right? Because what you want to do is you want to kind of create this sense of, if there's a sense of professionalism, then there is a sense of detachment, which is then a sense of opportunity in other spaces.
It also depends on how you treat your family, huh? Because
Well,
there are
that is
families and there are families.
that is
Sometimes
true.
the help will be like, boss, family ka jaisa nahi, please. Just treat me like a knocker. I'll be very happy. Yeah.
That is true. That is true. 45 years ago, emergency today.
Oh,
Yes.
77. What's
Yes.
the date? 70?
Yeah,
75?
so it was 75, right? 75 to 77 emergency was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so today was the 45th anniversary of
Well,
emergency.
in my lifetime, 75, I was, what, 3 or 4. So it's I can't remember too well.
Yeah, I don't have much memory either.
Yeah, and my dad wasn't a card-carrying member of any political party, or a journalist, so he wasn't that affected. Although my aunt was.
Oh yeah,
But
your
I
aunt
think we had a
was,
taste. My aunt was very much.
yeah, and she's
Uh,
still. I mean, like,
yeah.
she was like this extremely active, right? Journalist, like
Very
extremely
active, very
politically
very
active.
left of center and pro poor poverty, and has some friends or dubious friends along the way. But for some other time, I'll have a long debate on that. But where were we?
No, just reflecting on 45 years of
Yeah,
emergency.
so I'm saying we had a
And
taste of that right now in the 3-month lockdown
right,
that we've
that
had.
that
We
yeah,
had a
that's what I
taste of
was.
that. I had that sense of fascism when I had to walk the dogs and the police are shouting. And actually, now my anger towards authority is not so much, the anger is more towards my class of people around. All of them sprouting their own rules, deciding their own things, all to suit themselves mostly.
Right.
The ones who, whatever, would want the help just for themselves. There's no one's thinking about whether the help need work and the bigger perspective and all that. As you said, the data versus the anecdotes, and also what I realize is that there's a real softness to our culture, upper class Indians, a softness and fear which is scary. We are really not battle hardened. We're
Right.
battle hardened at business and at work, and we can be ruthless, and we are, and they all are around us. But when it comes to the physical toughness, it's just not there. And that reflects in the way we're dealing with COVID also. I'm worried because I just think we've become soft as a people. I can see that.
I
Fear
would
of
agree with
rain,
that.
fear of solar eclipse, fear of animals passing it, fear of and there's a class fear which is so, today Kunal Vijayakar, one of the greats of our time. Now, I don't wear the mask in the studio. Mohit, the producer, doesn't wear the mask in the studio. And Matosh, who does our sound, who he knows for the last 13 years, had the mask on his chin. And Kunal started screaming at him, "Yeah, mask, open karo, mask, open karo." I was just telling the boys in the thing, I think that's a bit classist. Because 2-3 of us are not wearing it, and 2-3 of those who are wearing it, and then he can't,
Well,
it's a
see,
bit,
but the
it's
thing
almost
is,
like, without knowing, subconsciously you're saying the poorer guy is the more dangerous guy.
so
I'm
that
going to get it from the
is
poorer guy.
so in my building though that's not really kind of that's just out and out said. Arey, we can't let the slum people come into the building. What will happen?
But
That's
it's a clear class prejudice, right?
Yeah, it is
That's
100%
clear.
is.
Yeah.
It's 100% is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I was talking to another friend of mine who is, he's the chairman of his building, and he's dealing with the same kind of nonsense, right, going on right now. Because the thing that people don't realize is that anybody can get it. Right, this is not like it's not that something that's just there. Anybody can get it. You have to
No,
be
but
careful. That's
your
all you can do.
prejudices are so deep that poor people are unhygienic, poor people don't understand, poor people don't follow the rules, poorer people are the dangerous people. Without knowing it, at least on a subconscious level, it's there and it's projected, and without knowing it, they've exposed themselves by making certain comments at certain times.
Yeah, no, it's insane, man. I mean, like, I can't understand how people think that these are appropriate ways to talk about other human beings sometimes.
Really?
I
Yeah.
mean, like,
No, I'm just saying, if you're very staunch and you want to be very austere about it, fine. But make sure that you tell everyone. Don't
Yeah.
pick on one guy or two guys, because it's clearly, I know he didn't mean to, but it's
Huh.
clearly reflecting of what is underneath in the mind. Which is
Right.
already, it's not like a disease. You can't cure that. People just think that way.
but I mean, like, you do cure it through thinking about it, right? Be aware about it. Make sure that you kind of continuously evolve on that. But yeah, man, sometimes it is. I'm not talking about Kunal here, right? I'm reflecting on my building.
So in our buildings, for example, they may allow your aunt to visit,
Right.
okay, or close relative, or son or whatever, depending on who they are. But no one wants the person who worked there before to come back.
Yeah.
Who, in many ways, So what are you trying to say? If you look at one relative who actually visits less, has less of a relationship with you and all that, against one person who actually works there. Okay, so you're not worried about this person. It's clearly a class thing, but you're worried about that person. So if you look at it, it's just clearly a class thing. There's no other explanation.
100% is. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I'm telling you. I mean, like, it's explicitly in this, I mean, like in the building chats and stuff like that, right? It's explicitly written like that. That hey, listen, these slums are all like, they're all so tied up together, like, they're also packed together like sardines. I mean, like, once it spreads over there.
Everybody has said this. You've heard this yourself in conversation in the beginning. Also, it's okay in the urban cities. The moment it goes beyond the urban cities, we're in trouble. Why? Because that's where all the danger lies, which again is a prejudice. It may be somewhat correct because there are more people and all that. You can look at it logically as well. But the fact is, you want to press the blame at another class, another group.
It's a lot more dangerous in urban centers than it is in other parts, right? Today, I think close to 60% of the nationwide cases come from Bombay, Chennai, and Delhi.
Yeah.
These three cities. Ahmedabad's come down a little bit. Bombay, Delhi, and Chennai. These are the three cities that are giving you like the big numbers right now, right? And I mean, like these are okay. Let's throw Ahmedabad in there as well. These are all big urban centers, right? This is where the stuff spreads because this is where we don't have the ability to space ourselves out. Yep. I'm telling you, dude, I'm having nightmares about that room I was in yesterday. Not nightmares, but I mean, like I keep thinking about it. Like, did I really need to do this? Did I really need to go? But then I'm also like, dude, how can I let this insurance lapse? I've been paying it for the last 5 years.
Yeah, but sooner or later you have to go. Yeah. Whether you go now or in October, you have to go. And if the thing is still around, what I mean is life will take over at some point. So you just have to go.
So I'm willing to do stuff, right? But the thing is that this room, the way the room was designed, was just not a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, and that I think is something that I will be conscious of even going forward. Right. I'm going to be out and about. I'm not going to be sitting at home forever. Right. We're going to move into the world.
There's an irony there. You have to concentrate on your own insurance before you concentrate on your group insurance.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. Well, that's where we were found wanting. Chalo, shall we go to the AMAs?
Let's go to the AMAs. Hey everybody, welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money and Intel. Really, really fun week, and I think that you guys should definitely check out some of the stuff we did. So we had Shifa Mehta, who is the host of the show Smile India, on the Paperback Podcast. Really fun thing. On Edges and Sledges, our hosts had an episode just amongst themselves. No guests this time. Really fun show with lots of cool banter. I think you'll enjoy that quite a bit. On Storytellers and Storysellers, Vineet had Shrishti Bell on. Shrishti is the head of Netflix in India, and I think you'll really enjoy that conversation as well. Also, do check out Uncle Please Sit. Joel and Tushar had Anuya Chatakar on. Anuya hosts the popular YouTube channel Books on Toast. And don't forget others of your old favorites like The Habit Coach, Football Should Ball, All Things Policy. All of them are doing a great job during this pandemic, and you should definitely check them out. And with that, let's get you back to your show.
Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Bored Brocha. I'm so bored, I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me.
So, I think first we got a birthday. This is Karan from Delhi. It's his birthday on Sunday, the 28th of June, which will probably be before this podcast releases. But he's still nonetheless, I think we can wish him a birthday. Happy birthday, Karan.
Happy birthday, Karan, for 28th June. Which unfortunately, we're on the 32nd of June or something now. We missed it by a bit. But happy birthday.
And he has a question. What are your favorite 80s English films?
Oh God, how to remember them?
That's a broad question. It's a very broad question.
Was Pink Panther 80s?
Pink Panther, Peter Sellers stuff was 70s.
No, I saw everything in the 80s. That was when I was young.
Yeah, same here. I saw them in the 80s, but I think those movies came out in the 70s.
Yeah. So tough one. Rambo.
Rambo is 80s. Rambo. First Rambo was I think late 70s. So First Blood was 70s. Rambo was 80s.
Yeah. That entire series.
Yeah.
Rocky. At least 3 of the Rockies were 80s.
I think. Everything. The
first one was 74 or 5 or something.
Yeah, first one was 77 or something like that. I think after that all of them were 80s.
That Bo Derek film. 10. Yeah. It was the worst film I ever saw, but I love Bo Derek.
Yeah, so I found it overrated. I mean, like, it was the movie that I was waiting to like grow up to see.
Yeah, I know.
I just did not.
Let's just call it for what it was. An absolutely crap movie. It got a 0, even though it was called 10. But like I said, I just like Bo Derek, and there was no Bo Derek calendar, although there was one.
So let me see.
Penthouse?
My favorite movies from the 80s. So recently saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off again.
Is that
Which-
80s or 90s?
That's 80s. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is
Okay,
like
so I've seen that as well.
1985 or something like that.
Yeah,
It's on Netflix. I just saw it again. Then
Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee. That's a good one. Wall Street.
Wall Street. I like Wall Street.
That's one that I enjoyed a lot.
Dead Poets Society. Or was that 90s?
I think that might have been 90s.
Yeah, early 90s. I was
I
in
think
college.
that might have been I think that might have been 90s. That was actually my old roommate from college.
Yeah.
He went to the school where they shot that.
Really?
Yeah, so he was like one of those like like we think
Background
ourselves privileged.
Yeah.
Like this was I think it was like Andover or Exeter or one of those schools.
Yeah.
Like like
It doesn't sound very ethnic.
yeah, no, not at all.
Andover,
But yeah, so he had gone to that school and he was telling me, and he was there when they shot it.
Yeah.
So and he was a senior when they shot it. So it's probably shot in '91.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else was there in the 80s? Lethal Weapons, all of those came out in the
Yeah,
80s.
I like
Those
Lethal
were good
Weapons.
ones. Those were good ones.
Oh, Bud Spencer, Terence Hill. Was that in the 80s?
I saw them
Terrible,
in the 80s.
terrible.
They definitely came to India in the 80s at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, what was a big one? Big Trouble something?
Ask me names.
Yeah, I can't remember any.
Clint
of the
Eastwood. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Nah, those were older.
Spaghetti westerns.
The spaghetti
what
westerns
about
were from the
Any
60s,
Which
man.
Way You Lose? Any Which Way You Can?
Any Which Way You Lose, I think that was in the 80s, right? That
Any
was
Which Way You Can?
Yeah,
That whole Any Which Way series.
yeah.
Then the one where he's
Wow.
the
Yeah,
Smith and Wesson. The Smith and Wesson one is where he's the detective. What's that called? Those were in the 80s.
Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry. How can I forget Dirty Harry? I love Dirty Harry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dirty Harry was the 80s, I think. Yes.
Then Charles Bronson. What are those films?
I never.
Same
Death
genre.
Wish. The Death
Death
Wish.
Wish.
Never really enjoyed those movies.
Ah, come on! As long as the bad guy gets killed in the end.
I know.
Lots
but
of them.
never, I don't know. They just never
Come
kind
on, Charles Bronson.
Yeah,
He would do 2 sentences in the whole film. Just kill people.
That's part of my problem with it. I was like, dude, why am I watching a movie with this dude? Here? Can't you get somebody else? Put Harrison Ford in here. He could do the same thing.
He made Rocky and Rambo sound like poets,
Yeah, that's true. Tango and Cash. That was another 80s.
Philadelphia,
wasn't it?
Tango and Cash. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Philadelphia was 90s.
90s. Oscar.
Yeah, they won an Oscar.
Stallone in
91.
the comedy called Oscar, which I liked a
Oh,
lot.
yeah, I love that movie. I love that movie.
really
But that
funny
was a
film.
90s movie.
My cousin Vinny is 80s or 90s.
That was also, I think that was also early 90s. Marissa
Joe Pesci.
Tomei, both of those are Marissa Tomei movies. And Marissa
The
Tomei
Third
basically became
Godfather.
famous in the 90s.
The Third Godfather is 80s.
That was 87
Godfather
or
3.
88 or something. But that
Yeah.
movie sucked compared to the
Andy
other.
Garcia thing.
Yeah, that was not such a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots, man. So many movies, right? Like, Goodfellas was 80s, wasn't it?
Goodfellas, what a film! The mother of all films. Okay, I made up my mind. Goodfellas. If it was 80s, that's the best.
Yeah. I
number
in
one.
my mind, I would say that if I were if Terminator was 1983, dude. The first Terminator.
Terminator.
Total Recall, 1988.
I could watch it, but it's just too unreal.
Yeah.
I like my normal killing.
Oh, no, I'm a
Robots.
sci-fi guy.
You like your tech. See, the moment there's a little more tech involved, you're happy.
I like the sci-fi. I like the comedies too, right? All the John Hughes comedies were there in the 80s, right? Breakfast Club, 16 Candles.
The Naked Gun
Ferris Bueller.
series and all. Naked Gun series.
That was 80s too, I think.
80s.
I remember seeing that in India before I went to the
Yeah.
US, so it must have been 80s.
Wow. God, Karan, you've jogged our memories completely.
I know, man. Why? We
Sad. How Alzheimer's taken over and we can't tell which is which. We'll have to Google and get
Quite
back.
a few we did. Quite
Yeah.
a few we did. Okay. Then the next one we have is so this is somewhat of a comment. This comes from Akash. I lost his last name, but he reached out to us on Twitter. He's also been quoting you, or I guess maybe me, with the whole anecdotes are not data thing.
That's you. But, so you're the prophet. But
but
I'm
you're
the
the-
guy who
Yeah.
comes down the mountain with the tablet and says, bro, you listen to me. Because he had spoken. He had
You are-
spake.
You are the popularizer.
Yeah, I'm the popular. I'm the rabble rouser, but you're the spake. You're the actual spake.
So he was responding to our
Data.
thing about. No, I went to his Twitter account. I saw the anecdotes are not data quote on his Twitter feed. But his question, he was speaking on behalf of all sane motorcyclists. We hate people riding next to each other and chatting as much as
Yeah.
car drivers do.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to redo scooter budget bikes to make them more complicated to ride, so that we can fix this. Basically, make it a little tougher to ride them. Interesting solution.
Why blame the machine? It's like make the gun with the safety valve and this and that. It's got to only do with the human being. Why are we blaming the machines? The machines are all built well. I'm against that. I say just do a test for the guy before he gets his whatever 18 or whatever the age thing is for. I think it's less now for two-wheelers.
Huh.
Just do a proper test on personality. You know he can drive the damn bike. That takes you 2 minutes to figure out the guy can ride a bike or he falls off it or not. One
Right.
30-second round of the place bus done. Now do a personality test. Will you help an old lady cross the road? Will you not lead to noise pollution? Will you not fight with somebody? Will you not stop in the middle? Will you not break lights? That's the thing that we need to know about the person.
Right,
Is he a law-abiding, nice sort of citizen? I don't want to be a goody-goody, for God's sake, but don't go on the pavement and scare children.
So we had another person respond to that as well, the bike thing. This is Ruben from Hyderabad.
Amit, we've got potential for a very kick-ass show on this topic. If you can get me 3-4 bikers
course.
against us, not against us in the sense, give their perspective. Let's have a civilized conversation.
So
But,
we have we can get a bunch of bikers, right? So Joel bikes a lot. Joel, our host of Uncle Please Sit.
Yeah.
He's like a real biker, like not like a.
But he's got to represent the school of thought where they say why we do it. Because when I've argued with them, the whole point is, but आपको affect कैसा करता है? You know, like we are making the world go faster without affecting you in their minds. So they don't believe it's a sin when you break these rules or, sit and chat and hold up traffic. That's the thing.
Right, but I think that it clearly is, right? I think we clearly think it is. But so he has the same point to make, right? He feels the same way when he sees two people in a bike talking as he does when he sees two people in a car talking to each other. Is basically about the attitude. And then he's throwing some shade at me, I think, with at the end with his sign-off, which is P.S. All Lives Matter, including bikers. Or maybe at you, because you also want to knock bikers off a bit. So it could be either one of us.
No, I think you were more passionate about the topic in terms of defending the fact that you do not want to play with the line.
Yeah,
Well,
I do like
was
the
allowing
line. Exactly.
I was allowing a little bit more
But
space
then
for comedy.
you
So
are
it's
a little
against-
more
so
passionate
he's
about,
trying to tickle you a little bit with that.
But I think you're also a little more passionate about putting bikers in their place than I am.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be taking offense or it's not. I would definitely be. I think because I walk more.
Yeah.
Ultimately because of dogs and kids and all, I've landed up walking a lot in the last 10 years for whatever reason. I hate walking, by the way. So I'm exposed to walking against bikers, which is really a terrible battle. And then, of course, driving versus bikers because I drive.
True.
Well, what can I tell you?
Yeah. All right, let's do one last one.
But
This one-
please don't knock the guy for making a funny comment. I mean, without
Not
humor,
at
what have we
all.
got?
Not at all. Listen, I'm happy to be pushed on that, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, listen, at the end of it, I have a point of view on it, but it's not like I'm wedded to this. This is
Hey,
not
and
like,
we aren't bikists. We don't believe all bikers should be genocide here. We are only saying that say 70% of bikers should be pushed to the side and maybe just a few eliminated.
All right. This last question is from idiopathic_doc on Twitter.
So sorry, I just want to quickly add, in terms of antecedent, I have bikers in my family on both sides. My uncle, in fact, had a Tiger Triumph in the 50s. He inherited it, so up to the time he left for LA and San Francisco or whatever, and then he stayed there. But Tiger Triumph from the 50s, which was like a bike right up to the 80s.
Right.
That's a mother bike, for
is.
the bike community of India. They worship the Triumph. There's a new version or whatever out now, but it's a huge thing. So I'm just saying that it's not like I'm from a non-bike world. I have a lot of bike in the blood.
You're Parsi, dude.
DNA thing.
Of course you do.
And it's not just a Parsi thing. The bikers, I think in any family, somewhere down the line, there'll be a male who's bike crazy. You'll find it somewhere.
No, it is, but I at least this is my experience, and I generally don't follow down the community this thing, but I definitely do see I know a lot of Parsi guys who are bikers.
No, you're right. It's very strong in the community. My good pal Rustam, who's a doctor, Modi, and Ajay Parekh, who's another friend of mine, they are bikers who represent biking community. So they do the bike ride thing. Okay, they go to Goa, they go to the Northeast, they do all these things.
Fuck, you said that. I forgot. We never mentioned this, right?
Yeah.
Samir Bangara.
Yeah.
Passed away, no?
Huh?
Bike accident. Last week.
Okay, I guess that changes it.
Sorry, I know I should not have spoiled that like that, but he was a good guy, man, really smart guy. It was sad to hear that. It was the same day that Sushant Singh Rajput passed away, which is probably why you missed it.
Wow. 1 second. So what happened?
He had gone on a bike ride early morning and he got into an accident and
like on just a normal road accident.
It was basically Samir was a big bike guy. He was a speed demon in many ways, not just bikes, even cars.
So he's part of that early morning club that does that fast riding thing.
So I don't know that.
Okay.
I mean, like I heard from somebody
Okay.
that I heard the news, right? I know Samir. I've met him a bunch of times. We've had conversations, but it's not like I would not be one of the people who would be notified about his passing. I'm not like that close to him or anything like that, right? So I heard about it from somebody who I knew, and all I heard was that he passed on a back
Okay.
accident that morning.
So we'll leave the topic there.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Okay. Last thing, because we mentioned idiopathic doctor, and I think that probably not. We should kind of just cover his question now. His question was, so big fan of Cock and Bull. What would happen in India if a high-ranking bureaucrat like the CEA wrote a book like John Bolton did? Are we a country where whistleblowers can speak the truth? I think we've already answered this.
There have been a couple in the last few years. I don't even want to call them whistleblowers because Manmohan Singh was not in power when the book came out,
Right.
Accidental Prime Minister. So it's almost like it's safe to bring it out.
Huh.
But that's the Indian way. You'd rather pull your punch when the tiger's out of the cage.
Correct.
And I don't know, but India is a gossip country. And if you think the Americans like their gossip and love a whistleblower and love their twist in the tail and someone from within exposing people and all that, believe me, my people will love it even more. Just think of the way we are. I mean, you and I can sit and just discuss these kind of things
Forever.
Yeah. So the only worry, of course, is the repercussions. But we are so Americanized now that everybody's seeing a buck. This is what I feel.
Huh.
You can smell the dollar, and you think that at the right time, if you can time your expose, you get your 15 minutes of fame, and you live off that for a long time.
Right.
You do tours and whatever because you expose the government or one bureaucratic setup or one deal. Back in the day.
Listen, Bolton got a $2 million advance.
That's what I'm saying. So let's not forget that part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the carrot. So of this coming clean because of a conscience,
There's no conscience here. If he had a conscience, he would have testified in front of the Senate.
Exactly, and money corrupts everything. Once money is involved, it's a little difficult to believe the purity of the. It's like saying you don't become a prophet and start a religion because they're paying you. You got to have a sort of vision. It's not like, okay, how much can I... I'm not saying that didn't happen, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No,
don't you think we're getting exactly the same way in terms of this coming out now more and more? And we'll have more
I think we're seeing more transparency, which is underground transparency, right? Because I think that honestly has more to do with social media than anything else. I mean, like, I'm not a big social...
Social media is fearless, more or less, in India, but in America, everybody's fearless. Very few people...
I feel like social media has had an impact over there as well. Social media in America started much earlier than what we would consider social media in India, right? And by social media, I don't mean Twitter and Facebook only.
Also,
I even mean things like
blogs. Still the same group of people. We've not really broadened it that much. I still think it's in America, it'll probably be 50% of the people would be social media in terms of reaction.
Well, I think it doesn't matter how many people are on social media as much as it matters who is consuming it and who is creating content for it, right? Now, what happens and even in India, you see the same thing, right?
Their culture is a little more homogeneous, and it'll probably affect a big story. Will be a big story for a lot of people there. While here we have pockets of different sort of reactions.
Right.
Very few stories are the big story. Sushant Singh Rajput would have been a huge story anywhere.
Correct.
Because that's Bollywood and Bollywood, cricket, politics to some extent, some parts of politics center. But then you go to regional politics. Sorry?
A lot of politics came into that, right? I mean, if you look at who is giving shit right now to all the Bollywood people for nepotism, it is all basically on the BJP IT cell side. It's like...
They politicize the whole thing, rightly or wrongly, 100%.
Yeah.
But again, we'll save this for another day because and probably we get a counselor on or a psychiatrist or someone else to talk about this because I'm a big believer in promoting the fact that you cannot point a finger at human beings. Human beings are evil, vicious, corrupt, terrible. We all know this growing up. It's not rocket science and suddenly we've discovered this. And that when people take those extra steps and do things like that, it's obviously beyond the pale. It's because everybody's exposed to negativity in their life.
Yeah.
So, but another day. What was the question, by the way?
Where did his question
talk so much?
His question was, can we have a John Bolton-like book coming out in India?
Well, like I said, against the run of play, difficult. To actually take on this government, for example, I can't see too many whistleblowers. Shashi Tharoor has tried to write a couple of books and, try more tongue-in-cheek and
But he's
satirical.
not part of the government, right? He's also outside the government.
He's outside the government, but yeah, fair enough. So to betray their own, that'll be interesting. Okay, let's think of someone. Shatrughan Sinha was a disillusioned man. Yashwant Sinha was a disillusioned man. They've got a few. It's not like they don't have.
Well, Yashwant Sinha actually is fairly negative right now on them,
Yeah.
right? But then again,
But
Yashwant Sinha was part...
criticizing is one thing. Criticizing one thing is saying it's a false prophet. I don't believe this guy or these people. That's one thing. I think that's not a big issue for the ruling party. But when you go and try and find out the inner detailing of certain things, which include tangible numbers, corruption, perhaps worse, acts of morality, which I can't mention, that kind of thing, if someone is to do from inside, that would be huge.
So I think that's another part of it, right? Politics in the US, right, is being criminalized in a way because it's not criminal. Whereas politics in India, there is a degree of criminality that's inherent in the way that it operates. And I think because of that, you're less likely to see...
When they went after Clintons for their foundation, I don't know if you followed that period.
I did.
They went after the foundation and the money, and how the money would go to the foundation and blah, blah, blah. And that for a little while, everybody and their mother was after the Clintons.
Yeah.
So it's not like they don't... they're pretty fearless when they attack.
Right.
Okay, here... There's definitely a sense that when it comes to the ruling party, people are a little scared to, call a spade, or dig with a spade.
So this is in some ways, this is a Congress and Democrats versus Republicans and BJP parallel, if you will, right? Even though I know that both are not precisely parallel and there are differences. But if you look at it, Congress is willing to criticize its own. People from the Congress are willing to criticize their own. There were numerous people on that side of the aisle who criticized Manmohan Singh. Sanjay Jha, right now with the Congress party, he's not saying I'm leaving the Congress. He's just criticizing what's happening.
Whereas his criticism is nothing that we don't know. You see, you're not woken up with the fact that he had the courage to criticize.
Right.
But there's no path-breaking story here. If somebody from the cabinet says, okay, this is what really happens, he asked all of us to kneel down for 5 minutes, before we enter the room or something, who knows? They start giving us those kind of stories. They would never do that. I don't think they have the guts to do that yet.
Yeah,
and with Donald Trump, everybody who's worked for him has gone against him, almost.
Well,
they've come out with things immediately.
Yes, to an extent, but no, also to an extent, right? Anybody who's still
he's fired so many people. He thinks presidency and apprentice are the same thing.
But here's the thing, right, Cyrus? He has there are lots of spokespeople and there are lots of bureaucrats and there are lots of Republican rank and file who are talking, but no elected figure is talking against him.
Yeah. But
right? Nobody who is still
beyond the whole Russian imbroglio, which is very hazy at the end of the day. Beyond that, they haven't been able to really trace things. They tried to impeach him. They tried everything. I'm not talking about the other party, of course, but still. What I mean is, even from within or without, it's been a little difficult to get at him. But it's not so much out of fear. And let's face it, the Americans also use their, bureaucratic positions to humble people when they can. I think you had told us a story about Amazon. We're running out of time, so I won't get into it. But, so it's not like he can't use government machinery to bring people down. He could. But here, the fear is more. So most of the journalists have toed the line and this kind of thing. And that's a little, let's see what happens. Maybe if you join the party, Amit, I'm hoping you do. And then you come out with the truth, if there is truth.
If there is truth. Hey, I have the right name and look.
Yeah.
That might be it, though.
Yeah. But just wait for COVID to pass. We don't know what is the right name. Huh? Everybody's in hiding right now. Yeah.
True.
Anyway. All right.
Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps, please. We beg you, we need you. Send us your questions on Twitter on Cyrus Says In. Or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
How many times have you motivated yourself to improve your sleep, or lose weight, or be more productive? How many times have you failed? Hi, my name is Ashton Doctor. Tune into my show, The Habit Coach Podcast, where we focus on creating small, tiny habits to improve your life instead of those big, impossible tasks. So make listening to me a habit every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com or on your favorite podcasting app.
Hello, everybody. We have a brand new daily podcast we're working on with Bloomberg Quint. All you need to know provides the top news on business, markets, and the economy so that you can stay ahead of the curve. Tune in every morning on BloombergQuint.com, the IVM Podcast app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.